Did you start?
Yep. Hey, everyone. I'm here with Isabella Greene. She's going to take her seat in a second.
Yeah,
we're talking about jumping timelines. She wants to make sure she can share this to her timeline, her Facebook timeline. So she'll be joining me in a second. So welcome, you guys. Glad you're with us, and please leave your questions and comments in the comment space, and we'll get started.
Okay, almost there.
She's almost here. All right, here she comes. Very good, very good.
All the technical stuff. Hi, guys.
Doing all the technical stuff.
Sorry about being a little late. Sedona is turning into LA here. The traffic is just interesting.
LA? No, don't say it.
It's a timeline jump.
No, not jumping to an LA timeline.
No, not going there.
All right. So let's start with actually defining timelines for those who aren't as familiar, and then we'll jump into our topic.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so I'll do my definition and you do yours, because I'm not always great at describing this concept, but for me it's a possibility of what could unfold. It's a possible creation.
Right.
It's a possible way of things unfolding on our planet and beyond.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if we consider that time as an artificial construct of the human mind, then the concept of timeline is false as well as time. So what we are looking, or what we're calling timelines, I believe are just infinite potentials that are available to us in the field of infinite possibility.
A better word might be time spiral, or even time loop or something.
Yeah, I think the timelines is a familiar word for everyone.
But I mean, like, more accurate.
Yeah, and I think we as humanity, we're just playing with these concepts right now and these ideas. So, who knows all the truth, and who knows how it's going to be called a year from now, or even a couple weeks from now. We used to just say, high vibration. Now we say high frequency, because we understand the difference. We used to say about dimensions as locations. Now we know those just states of mind, or states of consciousness. So we are.
There's all different words. Yeah.
We are.
We get across the general concepts so people understand.
Right. We're evolving, and our knowledge is evolving, and so So now we're gonna call them timelines for the time being. And I believe that today we're going to have a discussion, because Susie has questions. She told me I have questions. I don't even know what questions she's got. So this is all super live. And we can just
live on the spot.
Super live.
Well, it's not so much questions for me as much as it is some thoughts that I've been having about this whole timeline jumping thing. Mm-hmm. My understanding of jumping a timeline is when you leave one possibility and you go into a different one.
Right. So
the way I experience jumping a timeline is always an improvement.
Yeah.
So, I'm on one timeline with one set of circumstances, and I jump to a new timeline, and the energy's different, I'm different.
Yep.
And it's because of my inner work. I've created the jump. It's not like a unconscious, thing that happens to me. I've created it.
Right.
I've started it. Mm-hmm. And there are some things that happen when I do that don't feel as great. So, for example, my physical body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right.
Gets tweaked.
Yep.
You've experienced
Of course,
this.
yes.
Okay.
That's one of the symptoms, for sure. Yeah.
So right now, for example, I have this pain in my shoulder, and when I look over here, which I'm doing to you, it hurts every time. I'm like, oh, dang it. I don't know if it's a common thing, because I'm physically very sensitive. My body's very sensitive to everything. So that to me is a con. It's like something I haven't figured out yet, how to navigate this jumping of timelines without tweaking my physical body. Well,
the physical, there are a few things here I wanted to touch upon.
Okay, cool.
What you said. It definitely comes with a set of side effects let's just say, and the physical side effect is the most common. A lot of people experience flu-like symptoms,
right?
Because the body is literally in a different potential,
and so it may have to detox to get to a better timeline.
Absolutely, yes. Especially if you were in a really high frequency moment and you were able to move yourself into a different potential where you literally are experiencing a different version of yourself. Right? But the body matter, the physical form is slow.
Yeah, it's slower than everything else.
So
I want to whine about that.
For the physical form, I believe that there's still or it seems like there's still a part of your physical form that kind of lags behind. And for it to catch up with you, experiencing yourself in that new potential, the body has to go through a bunch of symptoms. I know that I know that every time that happens for me, I just had one literally a couple weeks ago, still processing. So I just get knocked on my ass. I literally, did I just say that out loud? So I have to process, like do the focus process, and yes, all kinds of pains, all kinds of you become introverted, you need to literally anchor this whole new reality, and the body is the first thing that happens. Yeah. And as far as also what you were saying before, that there is an automatic or constantly ongoing timeline shifting, and there is a facilitated timeline shifting.
Where you're doing it consciously.
Right, facilitated by you or facilitated through a different modality like a workshop or a healing experience or a session or something like that. So the jumping is happening all the time. But our minds are most people's minds are within the 3D paradigm, 4D paradigm. We're unable to observe that consciously.
Right, yeah.
But when you moved out of that space and your mind is able to observe that consciously, let alone create it consciously, this is when we are talking about true magic of moving yourself from one potential to the next. And that comes with the side effects. And I'll tell you about my side effects because people might want to know about that.
Oh, before you do that, could it be that like part of my body stayed in that other timeline for some reason? Like right now I'm wondering, did that vertebrae kind of like lag behind or something? Because it feels like there's a vertebrae out or something. Why are you laughing?
No, it's just funny. I think it's really funny. Well, if you you know what? I'm all here, but my left shoulder is on the other timeline. No, but
things get stuck in different dimensions. I work with my body practitioner all the time, and she's like, "Is your stomach fully here in this present?" And I'm like, "Oh no, it's not."
Well, I think it's just funny to me right now, but yes, it is possible if you consider yourself.
Why is it funny? It hurts. It's not funny.
It's kind of like
unscripted. This is unscripted. This is what you get.
You're walking around, going, "Yes, I'm all here, but my head is in a different timeline right now."
Well, this is a real thing. This is something we need to talk about and help people solve, so that people aren't running around with parts of themselves in different timelines.
If you consider that you are a cloud of particles, and the cloud of particles is constituted by the energy condensing itself into this form. You, as a human structure, you consist of the physical form, and a bunch of other non-physical forms, right? Including the light body, including emotional body, including mental body, including blah 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 whatever, right? And the physical form. So, if you look at that as energetic space, so I think that it is quite possible that the part of an energetic space, as an energetic space stretches through states of consciousness, it is quite possible that a part of the body would be still linking to the previous timeline, and that's why it would be showing that physical discomfort. I'm just guessing right now.
So I'm going to ask then that this part of my body joins me in this timeline.
Right.
Because I want to be whole in this timeline that I've chosen.
And I think that what also could be happening could be that you have processed the rest of your body pretty well, meaning detoxed it, cleaned it, closed or sealed your aura, closed and removed any sort of imprints or attachments or anything through the rest of the body. But perhaps there is still an opening in that particular piece, a part of your body that is keeping the frequency low, right? And so in that way, if that's happening for real, then that part of the body would be the part that would be showing you pains, because it's literally
so much sense.
It's literally asking, it's asking to be upgraded. Like, I just worked with someone and they had an ancient imprint. I actually just put that out yesterday in my Soul Stream Sessions series, if you guys are watching that. I worked with a woman who had an ancient imprint of ancient weapon in her solar plexus. For all the way from the times when she was a dragon running around this planet. And it continued until this day. And this day she was having pains that no one could explain within that space. When I started looking at that field, I saw that there was literally, I was seeing a part of like a splintered piece of wood. I'm like, what is this? Why is that there? You know, and so we processed that. And after that, her entire form is able to move on. So it is possible that there's something in that part of the body
Totally get that.
That needs to be still processed.
That actually is another con for jumping timelines, but I'm going to have you share about your physical experiences when you jump timelines before we go into that.
So I've done a number of timeline jumps, and when I do it myself, I kind of try to take it easier on myself. You know, but when it's facilitated through workshops, for example, where we're like meditating intensely and intensely focusing for like 3 days, 24/7, right? And or I just had a quantum healing hypnosis session, which I talk about everywhere now on all my YouTubes and stuff. That facilitated a major timeline shift for me, because I came in touch with the higher self directly. I had all kinds of contracts rewritten. I had all different, like a whole different understanding and even the feeling of reality, right? So that's on one level. That's on higher level, higher consciousness level. Meanwhile, my body's down. I'm for 3 days I'm there going, oh my God, I feel like I just got hit by a truck. And as that starts recovering, here come the other symptoms that come with the timeline change, because your reality would have to rock and roll for a little while to match the new potential. I find out that I have to move. I find out there's like stuff about the car. There are different, all different kinds of stuff. Just all of a sudden, it's like I'm being literally moved, pulled out of my old paradigm on every level.
Your vibration, your frequency doesn't match that.
No longer, because
anymore.
Because when I attracted certain things into my life, right? That was the physical manifestation of those things, the representation of my energy, because our inner reality is reflected in our outer reality, right?
Sure.
And so now my inner reality changed, my connection changed, my guidance changed, my state of being changed, my contract on earth changed, everything changed, and my whole physical reality is coming apart.
That's a big statement. Your contract on earth changed.
Yes, I did.
Like your mission, your soul mission?
No, the soul mission is the same. I have a video out now about that. That's about exiting reincarnation cycle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I actually, if you guys are interested, that video was translated into Spanish, which is incredible to me. Like someone like reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to hear, we want to allow people who speak Spanish to hear this." Video. So that person just sent me the subtitles. I was blown away. Awesome. It was really awesome. Yeah, so that's the video about exiting the reincarnation cycle, and the video about the mission and the higher self interaction and what I am and all that and what I was told. All of that is coming up. I think I'm gonna post that next week. So stay tuned on IsabellaGreene.com. Yeah.
All right. Cool. So when you have jumped timelines, you have felt things in your physical body. You've experienced symptoms.
Yeah.
Have other people shared with you different symptoms that they've experienced?
Yes.
Like flu symptoms?
Absolutely, yep.
Vertebrae out of place.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, I heard from within the team, because a lot of us within this group that we call Team Light, a lot of us are experiencing these things consciously, or facilitating these things consciously. And so I heard from people saying that, yes, definitely flu-like symptoms, definitely being kind of wanting to shut down from the world and kind of needing to lay down and process, needing a lot of sleep, needing a lot of liquids, water, not really wanting to eat so much because the body is adjusting.
I'm still waiting for that one. I love food and I burn it so fast that it's like, I'm still waiting for that one. People keep talking about that. I'm like, that's a whole, when does my appetite get decreased?
I think that is a whole different subject here.
I go the opposite sometimes. Everyone's like, yeah, I just don't, not as hungry, and I'm like ravenous even more than everyone else, and I'm like, okay.
Well, I don't really know exact explanation for that, but the change in real life circumstances.
Well, we're all wired differently, so I'm just wired. I'm wired differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. So we all have to. That's why it's so important to listen to your own body and your own needs, because it's different for everyone.
But the physical changes in your real life circumstances is the most common experience or side effect of a drastic timeline change. Why I say drastic is because the little ones are happening all the time.
Right.
And so we as a collective are experiencing timeline shifts all the time. We as a planet are experiencing the timeline shifts all the time. These are facilitated by celestial events, by
our higher selves, our souls.
Yes, the oversoul of the whole humanity, the planet evolving. All of these factors are contributing to us experiencing timeline shifts all the time. But the ones that are drastic and facilitated, like I mentioned, either a really intense session or a really intense workshop, or where you really want to do it yourself and you like drive yourself into that space where you leave your body, come back into a different reality. These are always accompanied by changes in your physical circumstances. In the past, my mother used to tell me, "Oh, you're gonna go to that workshop again? Don't you like your life? Everything is gonna fall apart again." But from her perspective, it was things falling apart. From my perspective,
that's a good point. Actually, finish your sentence and all.
From my perspective, all the things that were no longer in service to me, first and secondary, were no longer a match to where I just moved to. All these things had to come out, but you have to deal with it.
Yeah,
this reality.
That's really important, because when you do jump timelines, sometimes it does seem like there's a falling apart. Yep. Like now you have to move. You can perceive that as like, oh, my world's falling apart, poor me, being victimhood about it, right? Or you can be like, oh, this is what's happening. I'm no longer a match for this place. The universe is lining up a better place for me. Yeah. Like, awesome, hooray. So this perspective about how we deal with this is really important, I feel.
And also knowledge, so if we approach that or look at it from the place of not really understanding how these things work, we can perceive that, oh my God, I went to that workshop and now I just lost my house, my boyfriend, my car, my everything just like went away, right? Like, what is that?
It's a country song.
Pow, pow, and my dog. Sorry. But when you are informed and when you do this by agreement, meaning you literally know that you're going to experience a whole new reality and you want to experience a whole new reality. Yeah. It's exciting. I think it's totally exciting to go through changes, to rearrange things. You get to rearrange your whole reality all over from scratch.
If you don't like what's there, you create something new.
Right. And if you do like something that's there, it's still you're still gonna get something similar except better.
Exactly. Oh, it always gets better. So this is a good time to bring up another consideration in jumping timelines.
Right.
you may think that you want to jump a timeline because you want a certain experience.
Right.
But there might be something in this timeline that you're still working on or still developing your mastery with, and so it may not be time. Like, you don't want to force a timeline jump before it's, aligned for you. Or,
before it's due.
Right. Because you can miss out on something you were supposed to learn or master. Like, I recently had this thought, I just want to jump to an easier timeline of something I was going through, I don't remember now. And then I heard someone say, ask not for ease and grace, but ask to become stronger. Like, instead of asking for something to be easier, ask to become stronger. And that struck a chord in me, and I was like, oh, that's why I'm still on this timeline. Because I haven't worked it out yet.
I don't see how we cannot become stronger through ease and grace. How is that for the first?
Look, I'm the biggest ease and grace person. Like, I talk about this all the time, always asking for ease and grace. But I think there are times where there's a reason why we are where we are.
Yeah. No, of course, yes.
And not
absolutely.
to ignore that, not to try to do a spiritual bypass by jumping to an easier timeline. Yeah, that's really what I'm talking about, is spiritual bypassing.
But I don't think, honestly, I don't think it's possible. Because if there is still a big lump of energy, which every lesson is just a bunch of energy,
you're still gonna
that
have
we
to
carry.
deal with it no matter what time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, that's point number 2. So point number 1, if there is a really heavy bunch of energy, pile of bricks that you still have to put apart and work on, you're not going anywhere. Then no matter what you do, you're not going to be able to facilitate a timeline jump. You might be going to the little ones that are universal or on the level of the planet, on the level of humanity, but your own moving from being totally miserable to being totally happy, that's not going to happen like that, because there's no energetic match at all.
Yeah, I hear you.
First. Secondary, if you are in a space where you're kind of shuttling back and forth, meaning you're a little bit down, a little bit up, like the frequency is a little bit here, a little bit there, you have a potential to move to the higher frequency experience, but that low potential stuff is going to, like there's pain in the shoulder, for example, right?
Yep.
That low potential, lower energetic, lower frequency stuff is going to kind of show itself in a different way, even on that new timeline. I've seen that before. Yeah. It's usually not as drastic, but it's going to get your attention one way or another. And so in that way, you can sit and release and work and process stuff, not out of the space of super intense, I don't know, desperation, but from this, if you're in, that's wrong though, because if you're in the space of super intense desperation, you're not going in the higher timeline.
Yeah, you're not, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, but if you still have something that needs to be worked at, it's going to be shown in a softer format on the higher frequency timeline. That's been my experience so far.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're escaping, right? You're just going to be allowed to process things from a different place.
Now, through this conversation, I almost wonder, do we jump timelines to make that more obvious, the stuff we need to work out? Like, if we're jumping timelines with the understanding that we're going into higher frequencies, the stuff that's been unconscious, the shadow stuff that's been unconscious, maybe in the new timeline, that shadow stuff becomes more obvious because the frequency disparity is greater.
That is absolutely possible. This is a great idea, great concept, a great thought for sure, because the bottom of the barrel, you know, if you just moved your barrel to a different location where the frequency is higher, the bottom of the barrel needs to be cleared immediately. It can no longer sit there and brew for years. Yes. It has to be immediately removed so that you can probably anchor yourself. Here's another thing. You can experience a timeline jump, but if your bottom of the barrel, if that layer is so strong that your tension is going to be returned there, you're going to be pulled right back to the old timeline too. So basically, you're not going to be able to remain in the higher potential space.
That's interesting, yeah.
Because that weight is going to yank you right back to where you have to process it first. And so this is kind of what I'm calling shuttling back and forth. You can shuttle yourself on a different timeline, 5D in your Earth. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. But if you
have you ever experienced that? Like jumping a timeline and then
coming back.
This density is there. It like pulls you back to another timeline.
This is a very actually it's pretty common. I've seen that within my clients because we would facilitate a timeline jump for them, and they would be super in a different space, but then they would start telling old stories because the memory, the mind body is still there, and so they're going to start telling the old stories. Yeah. And that would gradually take them right back to where we started from.
Yeah.
You know, that would take away that potential because they will lose access to that new timeline potential. It's almost like you shuttle back and forth for a little bit.
So part of, if you're doing conscious timeline jumping, and even if you're not, part of it is understanding how the mind works and having your mind on board.
Right, yes.
Like, you're going to have to start thinking in different ways, allowing new possibilities, noticing any pattern thoughts or any thoughts that loop all the time and nip them in the bud, you know. That's important to have the mind, the body coming with you on the timeline.
Exactly. Like for me, the one that I just went through recently, and I think a lot of people went through a massive timeline jump on February 22nd. Yeah. That portal we had on February 22nd. This happened to be exactly around the time when I had my quantum healing hypnosis session. So I had like a double effect there. So when I came out on the other end of this, I noticed that I no longer like the foods that I was eating 2 days ago. 2 days prior to that. Okay. Or like for the last 6 months, I was eating the same thing, and now I don't want it anymore. Yep. I was no longer into the music that I was listening before. It literally was 2 days later. I'm not liking the same exact stuff that I've liked for I don't know, months and years maybe. Okay. Right. And so the mind that is not familiar with this would be like, what's wrong with me? I love this. Let me eat that again. Let me eat that again. I love this music. I remember I love this music. Let me
we have to be willing to be flexible and evolve.
As we are there and we're noticing that we're no longer like that, this is when you start searching for what fits, what feels good now, what kind of music feels good now. Yeah. Not like, oh, I remember that I listened to this for 20 years and now I'm going to continue listening to this no matter what, even though it doesn't feel right.
This is so important because we're going to be jumping timelines faster and faster as we progress here on this planet. Yeah. So these things are so important to remember. Mm-hmm. Let go of the food you used to eat. Let go of your ideas of what you're supposed to do. Let go of how your body reacted to something in the past. Maybe it'll be different now.
Yes, exactly. Let go of old energetic contracts with people too.
Oh, absolutely.
Because let's say you just jumped and you're in this space where you barely remember, and this is what happens. You kind of barely remember the people because you're now experiencing, or you barely remember what was going on in the past with the same kind of people. You're experiencing a different version of these people now, right? But if the mind-body is still linked or hooked, or there's this analytical part going, I don't like this person. I remember I don't like this person. I don't remember why, but I remember that I don't. So you're going to pull that into, and you're going to start recreating old emotional agreements.
Right. Yep. You have to be willing to let it all go. All of it. All of who you think you are, all of who you used to be. Right. You have to be willing to reinvent yourself, rebirth yourself, let it all go.
I literally hear my old self speak and say, but you're scared of this. And I'm like, I don't feel scared.
No, I'm
not. I don't feel scared right now. But you're not comfortable doing this. What? Yeah.
I just climbed Thunder Mountain a week ago for the third time. The first 2 times were pretty terrifying. Right. This time, there was no fear. Right. No fear leading up to it. Usually there's like a knot in my stomach. No fear climbing up. There was only one spot where my body started going into fear. But it was amazing. And it was like, my mind kind of like, but isn't this scary? And I was just and I was telling my mind, like, no, this is not scary. We don't need to go there and recreate the fear. We don't need to do that.
And what you just mentioned is really important here too, because body is a recording mechanism.
Yes.
The body is slow.
It stores all the memories and everything.
And it stores every thought and all the states of being. And so when the environment matches, like your Thunder Mountain, the body is going to generate the thought, or you're going to have a feeling that the body remembers, because the body is doing the matching of environment, you know, and although you're in a different space where it's not scary anymore, but the body is thinking, hey, I know I've always been scared here. I'm supposed to be scared here. I've been trained to be scared here. I've been trained to like this food. I've been trained to not like this person. I've been trained to like this person.
That's why the quantum leaps are so much fun, because you get to compare, like, oh, I'm not that person anymore. Oh, I no longer have that fear.
Exactly.
Oh, I no longer have that judgment, or, you know, whatever it is.
And that requires being fully awake.
Yes.
We have to be awake,
aware,
to notice that this kind of stuff is happening, that these things are happening, that the thought would come up and be like, but I'm supposed to, I've always been scared of this, I cannot do this. Really? I'm not feeling this anymore. So you choose to create a new feeling. Oh, this feels amazing. This feels great. I have, wow. And you bring that excitement in there, and that's when you anchor this new state of being, your new reality, your new version of self, and catch the mind and catch the body to that whole new potential.
And what a cool service that is when you do that.
Yeah.
Because it sets new templates for humanity and the collective and planet Earth and the galaxy and solar system and everything. I mean, when we do this work, it just creates a whole new level. Sometimes I can't find words for this.
Yeah, the whole new state of being.
It's a
Absolutely.
whole new creations. I mean, we're literally combining new frequencies, creating something brand new that's never been before.
Right, the new human and the new earth. Right, the new earth, the new human, the new state of being, and we're inching our way into that new state of being. And some of us are able to shuttle, and I use that word because that's what my higher self spoke when it spoke through me in the session. That's what it said. It said we're shuttling. Some of us are shuttling back and forth between old reality and new reality, and we are still anchored in the old reality. Majority of people, even the ones who have access to the new reality, we still shuttle back to this reality. So we bring the energy of the new reality in the old reality, but we're also processing some stuff here as well. So we are shuttling, but the goal originally,
being a bridge,
but the goal originally is to completely shift our state of being and reality altogether, and Earth, old Earth, into the state of being of the new Earth and the new human. So this is where we're going to. I think this is a wonderful.
It is wonderful. And for those of you who are doing that, whether you're consciously doing that or not, we appreciate you, because, you know, obviously we're not doing this alone by ourselves.
Yeah.
We need more and more people to be doing this, to be anchoring the light. I call it penetrating the matrix. Like when you go in deep and you flood the matrix with the light, instead of trying to exit the matrix or get out of the matrix. It's just a different way of looking at it. But to penetrate the matrix, bring all the light and flood the matrix so that the matrix itself is now transformed to a higher frequency.
And the very important thing to understand here is that if we cannot give what we don't have. So if we ourselves are not filled with that light, if we ourselves are not filled with joy and that new state of being, if we ourselves are not understanding how things are working out in our lives and why, then we can focus on trying to bring the light to other people, to the world, to environments, to out of the matrix. It's not gonna do anything, because we are the ones, we are the emitting mechanisms. So the first and foremost, we have to turn our focused attention to our own understanding and our own processing and our own state of being. And then
yourself.
Right. And then our presence alone does the work. And then our abilities and our gifts become way more effective
and
when we work from that space.
Emanating it. We could be sitting here doing a Facebook Live or hiking or, you know, with a client, but we're just emanating.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everywhere you go.
Awesome.
That energy.
Oh, you guys, I've seen some questions. None of them really related precisely to the topic. So if you have questions relating to jumping timelines or comments that you want to share with us, put those in the comments.
And we will look at comments and questions here once we're done, and then type up the answers.
Because I don't know if I caught everything that was scrolling down, because I was so enwrapped in the conversation.
Well, this was really amazing, and we're moving into the new earth and new human. Join us, guys. I hope that this brought you some deeper understanding of how the timeline jumping is happening. Where can they find you? SusieBeiler.com, SUSIEBEILER, or CreationTemple.com. And I just released something to my newsletter community that's massive, something I've never done before. And I'm not going to talk about it on Facebook yet. It's got to go to my community first. So if you want to be part of that announcement, go to SusieBeiler.com and sign up for my newsletter, and you'll get to hear all about it and be a part of it if it's something that calls to you. So SusieBeiler.com or CreationTemple.com. All right. And I am
Isabella Greene.
I am at IsabellaGreene.com. I have a YouTube channel, Isabella Greene, very simple, where I share all different kinds of information and cover different subjects every week. My recent exciting topic is all about the conversations with the higher self, and so I have a couple of more coming up for you. I just put that video about exiting the reincarnation matrix. I just put the video about working with entities from the place of respect. I think this is very important nowadays. Ooh. Very important. And I'm also putting up the one next week about my station in space, my higher self, what my higher self shared with me. I think that would be interesting for you guys, just for fun to listen to. So please do subscribe, follow me, and if you'd like to have a session with me, please send me a session request form on IsabellaGreene.com. We'll see you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
Yeah, thank you for being here. This was amazing.
Excellent.
We will see you in the next video. Love you guys.
Take care. Bye.